I have the pleasure to introduce our very first speaker. That's Andy Crestodina, and he's a co-founder and the strategic director of Orbit Media. Actually, Andy, I really love your blog. Today, he's going to talk about conversion rate optimization.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Can you see Jakob Nielsen? Great. Okay. You might not recognize this gentleman, but he is famous in my world. He's one of the true thought leaders on the topic of usability research. This is Jakob Nielsen. He's Danish, so it's probably Jakob Nielsen. And he did a study many years ago that I want to start with. In 2004, he researched 25 websites to find out if they were successful. Had a lot of data, so he decided to repeat the study in 2016 and basically repeated it, giving different people on different websites different tasks to find out the task completion rate and where there were problems. He found out that in 2004, 66% of these visits were successful. That increased to 82% in 2016. So he says the web is getting better. Okay, the web is getting better. And he says at this pace, the internet will be good in the year 2030. So he's kind of making fun of us, saying that the internet has all these problems, and he's right. But what kind of problems? Well, the degree of task success, still 15% of website visits fail, and the visitors don't succeed at doing what they're trying to do. Only 30% of website visits succeed where everything is easy. Also kind of funny, he says that pain or annoyance is twice as common as pleasure on the internet. This is, the research shows that a lot of these tasks just don't complete successfully and people are annoyed. Not that it's kind of surprising for people to feel pleasure using websites, but what's the problem? What's the main problem? And this is the key. The problem is findability. So my thesis is that to maximize your conversion rate, we need to work on making our content more findable. Findability, answering questions. Now, there's all kinds of different types of conversion rate optimization, A/B testing, email sign-up optimization, landing page optimization, eye tracking studies, emotional triggers. I'm really talking about a content approach to CRO, which should be useful because anyone can do it. You can go add these tricks to your site today. There's no programming required, and just taking a content approach to this can make a big, big difference. Now, it's important to understand first that there's two kinds of visitors to websites. Visitors who come to websites with commercial intent, they want to buy, they know what they need, or website visits who are just doing research, looking for answers, informational queries. So really on our sites, we have two kinds of pages. There's the products and service pages that are designed to sell and convert. And there's the content marketing pages that are just teaching people. It's the mini version of Wikipedia for your industry. And what Alexander was saying about my blog, that's all the blog content. I also have these other set of pages designed specifically to turn visitors into leads. Okay? So that's the page I'm focusing on today. We all have two kinds of pages on our website. I'm focusing on the product and service pages. Okay? So the goal here is that we increase the motivation arrow and we reduce the friction arrow. The stronger that first arrow is, the more likely that person is to move over to the goal. We can increase the percentage of people who make it there by making that first arrow bigger or making that second arrow smaller. Okay? So the specific tactic here is to make the first arrow bigger by answering questions. Make the small arrow smaller, the right arrow smaller by reducing uncertainty. Conversion is a function of clarity. People take action when they get their top questions answered. Okay, this is key. So we have to understand their questions, answer those top questions, support those people's answers with evidence. Never make an unsupported marketing claim. It's a big problem on the internet. People make marketing claims everywhere without supporting them with evidence, without building them up. And then we're going to add clear, specific calls to action, specificity in our calls to action. Okay, so here's how we go. We're going to first understand the questions, which vary. Here's a business to consumer example. My faucet is leaking. How soon can you fix it? The answer, same day on-time service. Evidence, I'm so glad they came right away. Testimonial, I'm so glad they came right away. Action, schedule a visit within 24 hours. Maybe it's $1 billion technology question. Does this giant piece of marketing technology connect with my databases? Answer, it integrates with the top 50 platforms. Evidence, thank you for helping connect with my system. Action, chat with an expert, a microconversion. Chat with an expert about integration. Question, answer, evidence, action. That's the key. That is really going to make a difference for each of you. Now, there's all kinds of answers, and it's true that there are general answers. Justin Rondo is an expert conversion optimizer. He's done 3,000 A/B tests, and he would tell you that these are the most important questions we must answer. Who's the company? What do I get? Is it valuable? Is my information safe? And it's true, generally, these are true for all websites, all types of conversions. But each company actually has its own specific questions. So what we need to do is to find the questions that your audience asks before purchasing. Ever done sales? What 3 questions does everyone ask you before they buy? Your job as a web designer, your job as a conversion optimizer is to answer those questions on your pages. It's not complex. I asked a client, it's a school, what are the questions people ask you before applying for this school? They gave me 60 questions in 10 minutes. I couldn't write down fast enough. The general questions are important, but it's the specific questions for your audience that will make that arrow stronger, that will move that visitor more closer toward conversion. AnswerThePublic.com is a tool that will give you the general, it scrapes Google and give you all kinds of questions that people are asking on all kinds of topics. I put in web design, it gives me lots of how questions, lots of which questions, lots of who questions. These are clues into what questions I should probably be answering. They ask, you answer, that's the job. That's what the conversion optimizer does. It's our job to add clarity. If they don't find the answer here, they're one click away from every other website. The one feature every website has in common is the back button. Can't avoid it. My second point is that we need to add evidence to support each of those answers we just gave. We need to add evidence, support, proof to support each of those answers we just gave. Okay? So here's how we do that. There are really 2 kinds of evidence on websites in general, on the internet, in humanity, in psychology. Okay? And this goes back to Aristotle, and he says it's the 3 modes of persuasion. It's worth studying. That there's 3 modes of persuasion. There is logos, which is the mind, pathos, which is passion and emotion, and there's ethos, which is credibility and trust. I'm going to focus on those first 2, logos, reason, and pathos, passion. Passion, what's in the emotion? That's the heart, the head, and the credibility, okay? So we can add these types of evidence to our pages. The big picture evidence, data, or the small evidence, the story. Both of these are possible. Easy. This is a page from my site. At the top of that conversion page, right, about web design, it gives a number. 41% is the average increase in conversion rate from our last 20 website launches. That appeals to a certain personality type, people who need information, people who like data. But at the bottom of the page, there's a story, the small evidence. And it connects to the heart with emotion. Without question, choosing Orbit to design and develop our website was the best decision I made in business. You see, it's a story. You feel it. There's a person. It's personal. It's humanity. You can include both of these. Here are my tips for 7 things to add to your website on every testimonial. First, the company logo. Second, the headline. See that juiciest, the best, the strongest piece of information there? 35% increase in web conversions. That little bit there, I'm going to make it the headline. Put headlines on your testimonials. Then the person, right? It's a person, and you can tell it's a person. You see them. Picture, name, title, company. Finally, the key phrase. You can add text-based testimonials. You can add key phrases, which increase the relevance, increases the rankings, increases the search, the search ranking potential of this page. Key phrase focused testimonials are one of only 4 tactics I know that increase traffic and the conversion rate at the same time. I joke, I have a 1-year-old son, and I tell people that I want him to be good at 2 things in life, SEO and CRO. You're going to get rich if you're good at SEO and CRO. Those are 2 things that make a big difference, right? You can drive traffic and convert that traffic into subscribers or into leads. Finally, my tip is about calls to action. The more specific the call to action, the more likely the visitors to take action, to convert. Remember, questions, answers, evidence, action. So that action, we want to make it specific. This is a very famous study by Michael Agard, who works at Unbounce. He posted this originally on his old website, Content Verb, which I think has been taken down. So when we changed create my account to create account and get started, those extra words, that extra specificity, that detail about what happens, increase conversion by 31%. That's a big difference. That's a lot more leads. How about this one? From get your membership to find your gym and to get membership. 213% increase in conversions from that one trick. So I recommend that all of you, as you design buttons, as you craft your calls to action, as you choose those words carefully, make them, first of all, they're longer. Give yourself bigger buttons. Give yourself more room. Try those 6, 7, 8 word calls to action instead of the little submit button that tell people more about what they're going to get. Huge value there. So you can see again on this example, the button text increase my conversion rate, right? So we were adding specificity there in the call to action. That's how to generate leads. So what I'm trying to do is to really increase, see, before anyone converts, before they click, they're doing a tiny cost-benefit analysis in their mind. They're really weighing the benefits versus the cost. Is this worth it? Is this likely to help me? So we can make the conversion more likely by making the benefits bigger or the costs smaller. So in other words, it's a return on investment calculation. We all do it every day, every time before we click, all of us. We do a tiny calculation in our brain about, is the return higher than the investment? So instead of a do this thing button, how about do this valuable thing? The benefit is bigger, the return is higher. Or do this easy thing. The cost is lower, the investment is lower. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. Don't just download ebook. Download ebook and solve all your problems today. Or not just download ebook, but download ebook instantly and start reading now. Sounds easier, sounds faster. Not just contact us, but get in touch and start improving your click-through rates today. The benefits are higher. First arrow is stronger. Or talk to an expert about your button text. Sounds simple, right? You're just talking to them. The psychological threshold is lower. That makes the second arrow smaller. That makes the cost seem lower. So this is how we have it. This is a call to action we have on our site. It is, what's your digital strategy? There's a picture of Sarah. It asks a question. It says, discuss your site with Sarah. We get leads all the time from these forms. So in the end, I'd recommend answering questions. If you leave them out, your site's unsatisfying. If you leave out the evidence, your site is weak. If you don't have a clear call to action with specificity, your site is not compelling. And what's an FAQ page but answers out of context? Big mistake. Never make an FAQ page. Make every answer on the page where the question appears in the visitor's mind. And what's a testimonials page but evidence out of context? Get rid of your testimonials page. Make every page a testimonials page. Fill your website with evidence. So the results of our project, we saw a 26% increase in conversion rate using the tactics I just described when we relaunched our own website back in December. That's a visible difference. That's a business impact with a real difference in our company. It's making a huge difference for us. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Alexander, who will introduce Tim, who has some other conversion rate tips. I hope that was useful. I'll mute myself now because we were all listening to some background noise here. Sorry about that.